And we are live on a Sunday afternoon / evening, or maybe it's Monday morning where you are. I don't know. And I don't particularly care. What I do care about is that you're here watching the stream, about to have a whole lot of fun. Because I haven't done my normal Sunday stream in a while, whether it's been Common Ground or I was on EFAP last week or whatever. I'm back here with you guys today, and I'm extremely excited about it. So welcome. I am Ryan Kinel with RK Outpost, and this is my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. I talk about Star Wars, comics, pop culture, a little bit of everything. And I have a great guest with me here for the first time on my channel, and that is Final Death Star. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on. I think it's the second time because I did do the EU recap for
that's
book,
right.
Book club. EU book club.
That's right.
Yeah.
You were here for EU book club. My mistake.
Yeah, I forgive you. That's quite all right. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm doing well. Just talk about Sunday football a little bit, and the Steelers won, which I'm a Steeler fan. So you may like or not like me because they're kind of one of those teams that you either hate or you love. But I am indeed. Yeah, but thanks for having me here. I'm excited to chat about a lot of things going on this week, huh?
You know, I tell you what, there is no lack of Star Wars news right now. This week was kind of crazy. You know, it's been kind of crazy because for a long time, you know, after Last Jedi, we had Solo, you know, like 6 months later. And then after that, we've just kind of been talking about what happened and the aftermath of everything. But now we have The Mandalorian, we have Jedi Fallen Order, we have Rise of Skywalker coming out in a couple of weeks, and everyone is doing interviews and making the rounds. And of course, anytime that you know, Kathleen Kennedy is able to make the rounds, she has to open her mouth. And you know, when she opens her mouth, usually she inserts her foot. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk a little bit about Mandalorian. We're going to talk about what Kathleen Kennedy said about the expanded universe, because that is the reason I started this channel. So I always have to talk a little bit about the EU. But the first thing we always do is say hi to the chat. So the first one here, Shadowhand. Hello there. Yes, hello. Mary Mayhem, who's always in my comments.
Hey, Mary.
And I appreciate her so much. Mary's here. Brian Yoder, howdy. Keck44, 33 minutes. Hope he's wearing a shirt. Well, I don't know. Did I subvert your expectations by wearing a tank top? You know, I'm not sure. Did you want me to just be shirtless? Did you want me to wear a t-shirt?
I think they're waiting for the robe.
Yeah.
The famous robe.
The infamous
robe.
The infamous robe is more like it. And then Mary said, I hope he's not. So there you go. That's where Mary's head is at, always. Shadowhand also hopes that I'm not. Let's see. I saw a comment earlier. Mary said I should get a Shenanigans hoodie. Geeky Candy, hello. Candace, dropping a like. If there's a tank top or V-neck, I expect a like immediately because I have a tank top. So, boom.
Was that in there before the stream started? They were already like betting and
yes, this
like
was
thumbs up or down based on what you were wearing.
Yes, this was 30 minutes ago. Shadowhand just wants me to wear a tie, nothing else. Okay,
like a Chippendale style, I guess that is.
I can think about that. I've done robe with nothing under it before, so I mean, why not? We'll just do whatever here. We don't want to act like this is for children. Right. So we got to just we got to be safe from COPA. We don't want any kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
No kids allowed with the COPPA police.
That's right. I see Matt Wilkins in the current chat saying, I don't think I can take him seriously without the robe. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Take it seriously without a robe.
Yeah. Let's see. Ryan Bush is here. Teresa Martin, one of my wonderful patrons, is here. And, you know, while I have the opportunity, I will go ahead and thank my patrons like I do every stream. So Teresa Martin, Mary Mayhem, what an ass, what a bitch, what a cuck, George Big Dick, Lucas, Seth Saunders, Huge Ass, and Kyle Hopkins. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And I will be, I'll be going ahead and linking my Patreon at a couple different times throughout chat so you guys can take a look. And if you're interested, you like my content, check it out. Again, wear a
I
tie.
like the names that you have in your Patreon too. They're all such great names to say. I think just saying the screen names is going to be like COPPA unapproved.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, that's why I'm so thankful.
Huge ass.
That's why I'm so thankful. Huge ass. What an ass. What a bitch. What a cuck.
Yeah, that's the best.
George Big Dick Lucas. Like, how can you not have fun with those people as your patrons? I mean, come on. It's impossible. So I just got to roll with it. I'm not going to censor myself. I refuse. But
nor should you.
If you're interested in Patreon, I just linked it in chat. So go ahead and take a look. Let's see. Doesn't the Jedi robe count as a hoodie? Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And look at these people. The itty bitty titty Joe Mama committee. If you already wore a robe, Ryan, I'm pretty sure you wear a hoodie. Yeah, I absolutely will. I see people talking about buying me a Baby Yoda hat. I have already made a promise. We're going to talk about Baby Yoda soon, all right? We'll talk about him soon. But I have already made a promise that if you send me Baby Yoda merchandise, I will destroy it in some way on stream, on air. That is what I will attempt to do. I do have a P.O. box in the description. So I look forward to burning all the Baby Yoda merchandise.
What if Baby Yoda ends up winning you over after you've destroyed all of this merchandise that people are sending you, and then you turn the corner and you end up loving Baby Yoda? What would the guilt do to you? Would you have guilt?
First of all, I would have zero guilt at all. I would not regret 1 second of it. I wouldn't apologize. I would just quietly buy my own Baby Yoda merchandise and not say another word about it ever. That is what I would do. Is that a cowardly?
Fair enough.
I would not apologize though to these Baby Yoda fanatics. So, Baby Yoda tank top. All right, let's see. Anyone here hoping that Rise of Skywalker is so bad that it gets a Rocky Horror treatment and becomes a popular that way? I think a lot of us are thinking that may happen.
Yeah, people go and like throw candy corn at the screen and things reminiscent of Rocky Horror. I could see it becoming that, like a cult movie.
Yeah,
that's so bad it ended up being fun to like make fun of, kind of thing.
Yeah, 10 years later, we just roast it so bad that some people get a little bit of a fun out of it. So yeah,
right, yeah.
Sporking News is here. Hail, Sporking.
What's up, Sporking?
Yeah, Sarah Johnson, that Viking chick. Hello there. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hello.
Oh, of course. There's Matt Wilkins. Where's the robe? Of course, bring it up immediately.
That is a hot button topic, that robe.
The robe, Baby Yoda. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
The robe might be taking over for Pixelated Ryan.
Listen,
it's becoming as popular.
The robe is right here. It's sitting here. If it gets crazy enough to stream, the right moment. Yeah, if it gets crazy enough to stream, I might put it on. But I think I got a good thing going with the tank right now. I'm shilling my merch. Because Drunk 3PO, I learned from Drunk 3PO, right? Because he lied on Twitter earlier. Drunk 3PO said he's happiest when he's helping people. I said, no, you're happiest when you're shilling your merch. And I totally believe that to be true because that's all that he does is shill merch. So there you go.
He loves to show he loves to show the leggings to the ladies. Loves shilling that.
Listen, if I had my logo on women's thighs, I would absolutely be showing that to the world as well.
And you see where like C-3PO's head, where it lands on the leggings, it's a very specific placement
exactly
on these leggings.
Exactly.
Not COPPA approved by any means.
That's true. It sounded like you said Nazi. The stream's going to be taken down.
Just saying. Wrong direction.
Just saying.
Did not say Nazi.
Baby Yoda would kick Rey ass. Yeah, I mean, listen, as much as I hate Baby Yoda, Rey's way worse. So that is absolutely true.
I care more about Baby Yoda right now than I do Rey after 2 whole movies.
That's true. I take more pleasure in Baby Yoda getting killed than Rey at this point. So I guess I could say that too. I see Trey Courtney in the chat. What's up, man? Darth Primus is here. Raging Rhino is here. Hail, Ryan. Hail the fandom menace. Hail, Raging Rhino.
Hail.
Chris Evans, Tank Top Tiger is back. We have 69 people watching, so that I like that number. Hey, could you guys do me a favor? We got 69 watching, only 45 likes. Smash that mother effing like button, please. Let's see. Zach Grieg, the Bears won. They look terrible, but they won. Paulo Rojas, Baby Yoda backpack. I'm sure that is coming. I am sure.
Yeah.
Minions were worse. Yeah, Minions are pretty bad. We have a super chat. Canadian $2 from J Pat. Baby Yoda is the new Minions. Ugh. Yes.
Comparisons to the Minions.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I'll discuss my thoughts here. I'm seriously debating just doing a rant video on Geeks and Gamers that just gets downvoted to hell about why I like Baby Yoda, because I know it would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Benzo's here. Another monster. The robe is sick, bruh. Well, I'll put the robe on at some point, guys. I'll put it on. Bruh. Yeah. That I'm not gonna. So who is that Nazi next to you? We don't have any Nazis here. Schemes and scammers. All right. Nick Wilson. We call it Baby Yoda, but it's actually no. It's not freaking Baby Yoda. That's one thing that irritated me and why people were calling that. But the whole world is calling it that. So I just have to call it that, unfortunately.
I call it the yodeling.
The yodeling?
It's a Yoda youngling. Yeah, it's a yodeling. That's what I like to call it.
But
Baby Yoda works too.
Yeah. I care more about the poo I flushed down the toilet. Yeah, that's true. Are the Jets turning into a good team? I actually think that listen, I actually think that the Jets have been okay, but when Sam Darnold was out for like 5 games, they didn't have a quarterback. I think Sam Darnold's pretty good. And they got some good weapons around him. But all right.
The Jets have not been. It's been a rough 10 years. They haven't been a real lead contender for quite a while now.
Yeah, that's true. Jonathan Cortez says, what's up, Ryan? Everyone in chat. Also, hi, there's stranger danger on Ryan's right. I think they're talking about your mustache. That must be.
Maybe. Well, I was gonna grow it out to do we're doing like an 80s theme thing for a Christmas party. So I was going to go for the Magnum PI look, which I guess is stranger danger.
Nice. The Yoda clone. Maybe it's a Yoda clone. Could be true. Other people are saying, Yoda and Yaddle.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I would be pretty devastated if I found out. Listen, that's going to be the next. We had the George Lucas special editions. I think the next special edition is we're going to see a special edition in the Phantom Menace where it's just like Yoda and Yaddle just banging in a corner of the Jedi Temple. That is kind of what I think we're going to see. I think George Lucas could be in on that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Have you seen the Yoda with the gremlin? It was from Gremlins 2, the female gremlin from Gremlins 2. Have you seen that meme?
I've seen so many memes.
That's a good one. The gremlin from Gremlins 2 and Yoda, and it's got like desperate I was one time it was, and then it has little baby Yoda as the result of that.
Jesus, that's crazy. All right, but speaking of Brian McCann, I'm thinking of buying a Baby Yoda for Anna since she loves it so much. Anna does love Baby Yoda. That is true. So you should go for it. Completely support that. But we have said hi to everyone. I have thanked my Patreons. I have done all that good stuff. I forced my things too far in my ear. That was weird. But we need to talk about the burning issue. And that is Baby Yoda. Now, Jedi Bunny just said something in chat. I can see it there, but it hasn't pulled up in here yet. Oh, here it is. Jedi Bunny Kelly's here. Hey, Kelly. Maybe because the Yoda species are such organically force-sensitive beings, they just have transcendental tantric intercourse without even needing to touch. I don't know if anyone has taken that approach yet. That could be very true. Basically, Yaddle just gives Yoda fuck me eyes, and it happens just like that. Maybe that is true. I hadn't thought about it. But yeah,
I guess there's precedent for that with the hand touching scene in The Last Jedi. Maybe that's what they were setting up.
Oh,
it's the tantric intercourse touch.
That's the secret Skywalker. When they touched, Rey became pregnant.
When they touched, yeah. It's close. I think Mark Hamill said that's the closest thing to a sex scene you'll get in Star Wars. So
yeah, that was a little Mike Zero intuition right there. But
ooh, yeah.
So Baby Yoda. What are your feelings before I get started? What are your feelings on Baby Yoda Final Death Star? You are the guest. I will let you have your take, and I won't interrupt. I won't disagree. I'll just let it go.
When I first saw the Baby Yoda thing, I was, it was that shocking moment of, oh my God, I know as soon as they showed the little ears perk up, you knew immediately what they were going for here. And I was at first shocked, and then I immediately got skeptical, thinking, where are they going with this? Because it's been clear that Lucas, at least up until now, had never wanted them to get into the backstory, the history of the species. I mean, they actually took Yaddle out of Phantom Menace when they, I think it was released on the DVD cut. The first time they released the DVD, they had digitally replaced Yaddle with something else just because I guess he had thought that, they put him in there or put her in there thinking it was a good idea. And then Lucas had a second thought and thought, okay, no, we're taking him out or taking her out. So, up until now, it was kind of, we're not touching it. It's going to be a mysterious species. We don't want to know what the history is. And now, we've got this thing brought in there. But after episode 3, it's won me over. I liked a lot of the moments that the Mandalorian had with this Baby Yoda thing. So it is used as a device. It's primarily the main driving force of the show right now. I don't know how long they're going to go with this. I have a feeling it is going to last the entire series because, I guess we're going to talk about spoilers, right, for this Mandalorian.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead. Spoilers for Mandalorian. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Okay. So once he gets taken away and Mandalorian decides, there's that moment where he decides to go back and save the baby. I was kind of hooked from then on. He's going to be on the run the rest of this season. He's going to have, I guess, the Empire after him, the Bounty Hunter Guild after him. I think the Mandalorians will stay on his side. I don't know if that's the only, I'm sure there's other encampments of Mandalorians throughout the galaxy. I'm guessing that's just one. I think they call it the covert where they were stationed down there. So I'm guessing that's one, and there's probably a lot of others. So I don't know if they're all going to join his side or if some of them will turn against him because he is, broken kind of the rule. I guess he's kind of dishonored himself by not living up to a contract. So that could disgrace him. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I have been won over by the fact that it's him and this semi-helpless being, although, if we find out it's not that helpless, it's pretty strong somehow. There's a lot that needs to be explained. Here's the thing it's tricky. There's a lot that needs to be explained with this without explaining too much, because I don't want to know the whole backstory of the species, but I think we have to at least know why this Yoda knows how to force heal. Is it like Jedi Bunny said, is it instinct? Is it just the species that just kind of knows how to use the Force? Or is there some sort of training that it went through? Because if you do the math, or if you kind of do like a math equation, this thing is supposed to be 50 years old. Say Yoda is 900 when he died, right? So say that's the average lifespan. If you do the same, so I did the calculation, it's like 0.05% of the lifespan is 50 years old out of 900. If you take that and put it into human terms, 71 being the average lifespan, and 0.05 of that brings this creature to about 3.5 to 4 years old. So 3.5 to 4 years old, it's still developing. How does it know how to do these things? Yoda didn't start training Jedi until he was like 100. So, maybe you do start training very, very young. Because if this thing's just learning how to train somehow from somebody, we don't know yet, another 50 years, it could be training Jedis. I mean, it would be like 6.5, 7 years old. So the age thing, there's a little discrepancy there. But
yeah,
I'm on board with it enough.
Yeah, so
I'll let you.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you as far as very speculative of how old this thing actually is. Now we know a couple things about when these species had originally started training. In the expanded universe, at 96 years old, Yoda became a Jedi Master, right? That's established in the expanded universe. In actual on screen, what we know is the same thing. He says for 800 years, I've been training Jedi. So you can extrapolate that to whatever you want, but what I take that to mean is I've been training Jedi for 800 years, meaning that I've been a master, or at least a very competent knight placed in a position.
At least a Jedi Knight.
Exactly, to be training Padawans. So we know that. So then when we get told this thing's 50 years old, I think that that's a mistake that they made, making it 50 years old. And Candace said something that she feels like it might be something forced. They forced a 50-year-old because it had some meaning, which could be true. Making it 50 years old is about the age, would be about the right time that Anakin was born as well. So is that going to come into play later? Possibly. Oh, I did get a super chat earlier. Hold on. Where'd it go? It was about you. It was about you.
Oh,
here we go. Jonathan Cortez, $2. Do you have candy to lure midgets to the van? I think stranger danger.
Candy corn only. Candy corn works the best. No one wants it. No one wants candy corn.
Yes. And then Lethal Lightning with Australian $2 says something completely off topic. Kristen Stewart is hot, at least 7 out of 10.
Okay.
No. There you go. But yeah, so we know that. That being said, 50 years old, you're telling me from 50 to 50 he's going to become a Jedi Master. Maybe they mature at a different rate. Is a lot to be explained. What you said is absolutely true. George Lucas did not want to get into, at least initially, didn't want to get into the, behind the scenes. He wanted to remain a mystery. Now, we've seen George Lucas on set. We know that he was a part of this. Do I think that this was his idea to make a show that was marketed as The Mandalorian, that Jon Favreau told us would not be about the Force? Did I think that I was going to have a Baby Yoda pop up? No, I did not. They really subverted my expectations. I thought it was going to be about a Mandalorian. Was George Lucas okay with this decision? I don't know, but he's there behind the scenes. He is helping them out. So there is at least some tacit involvement from him. So maybe he's come around.
He's in that famous picture where it's the three of them sitting there, Filoni, Favreau, and George, and then you've got like Kathleen in the shadows kind of behind them looking very unhappy.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a great picture. And
you need to take it with a grain of salt. You need to take it with a grain of salt because you have, George was also on the set of Solo. You know what I mean? I don't think he necessarily agreed with a lot of stuff they did there either. But we can assume at this point that he's okay with what they're doing with Baby Yoda. My biggest problem is, would this be the same story to you if it was a baby Wookiee instead of a baby Yoda, or a baby human, or a baby Rodian, or a baby Quarren? Any baby should suffice for the story that they're telling. Because right now he has, like, the Mandalorian has no, like, there's the moment where he uses the Force to save him, but other than that, he just cares about it because it's a baby, right? So my issue is that it just looks like such cheap marketing, and you see it happening right now. You see people sharing these gifts, see people sharing these memes, saying how cute it is. And so you're taking this character that was such a mystery and you're using him to forward this plot that I feel like didn't need it. I wanted this story, and I think it was marketed as, they told us about Mandalorians, and I'm loving the Mandalorian and the Mandalorian stuff. Right? I love that they brought all of them in at the end to help save him. They showed a little bit more at Mandalorian, kind of their religion, for lack of a better term. Not a huge fan of what Filoni's done in the past with the Mandalorian.
This is the way.
But this is a possibility, this is a way to help rectify the damage that Filoni did to Mandalorians. That's what I see this as, an opportunity. So I see someone say it right here, Jennifer G, Baby Yoda is a ploy. I 100% agree. It could have been any baby, and we would get the same character development from the Mandalorian, but it's not any baby. It's Baby Yoda species to pull on your heartstrings to get that nostalgia. It's not honoring anything.
It's adding that mystery and mystique of, I thought Yoda was the only one, or Yoda and Yaddle were the only two, and now we've got, what is this all about? It adds a level of mystique, and plot device to enhance the drama of the show, the mystery of the show. Because, yeah, I think you're right. If it was just another baby Rodian, it would be the same thing. It would probably still be just as cute. But, you don't have that level of mystery. Oh, but they, what is this? I thought Yoda was the only one. You don't have that extra little oomph to give you, to add to the show. 50 years of diaper change. Yeah.
Mara Jane says the baby's wearing Jedi robes and uses his hand motion. He's been training for years. Yet he's trying to eat ball bearings. He's trying to eat parts of the ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is very clear they're making him an infant. That's my view of it. And you're going to have to show me and explain otherwise. I can believe you're going to have to explain to me that he's been trained in some way, shape, or form. That's the only explanation. There's some people that are saying he doesn't even need to have training because that's just how the Force works now.
Well, right. That's what according to Freddie Prinze, if Freddie Prinze is to be believed, then no one needs training. The Force will do what it does, and you can just sit back and use your Jedi powers because they're just there when you need them because the Force does it, and you don't. It doesn't matter. You know. I mean, this. I just hope they don't use the abilities that this baby has, that if there has training, I hope they don't use that to justify. And I think they're smarter than this, but at least Favreau and Filoni. But I hope they don't use it to justify freaking Rey.
Yeah,
who's Freddie? Oh, that would be Freddie Prinze Jr. That's who Freddie is. There, Ruthie Hale fan.
Yeah, and
Freddie
Brian,
Prinze Jr. You went on a rant about that.
Yeah, and Brian McCann, I do hear you. Yoda acted kid-like. Yoda acted kid-like to test Luke Skywalker, right? That is why he acted kid-like. We never saw him act childlike really after that point with Luke, right? We saw him poke fun at him maybe a couple times, but he acted childlike to test him, to test his patience and to see if he had the temperament that he thought he needed to become a Jedi. Freddie Prinze Jr.
But you can tell the difference between what Yoda did and what this baby. I think the baby Yodeling is really a baby. I don't think it's an adult that's pretending to be, because it's very small. They definitely are intending this to be a baby. That's my belief. I mean, I guess I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think
he's cooing. He's literally cooing.
Yeah. His sounds are
Exactly. Rebels introduced and Phantom Menace introduced innate Force usage. So using the Force to not using the Force, passive uses of the Force, like instinctually better reflexes and things like that, is a very different thing from lifting a multi-fucking-ton animal.
And using the Force ability to rip off of Kylo Ren to take to turn his mind trick around on him. You need training for that kind of stuff. Because look, in Phantom Menace, Anakin says I'm able to, he's able to race a pod racer and he shouldn't be able to do that. It's his instincts. They're faster than they should be, right? But that's different than lifting a ton of rocks and not knowing, without ever being trained to do that, without taking a lightsaber and beating a well-trained Jedi, without lifting an animal out of the mud and spinning it around and going up and force healing. That's something that takes some training. That's not just kind of instinctual reflex stuff. Because I agree with you there. That is true. But what we're seeing is a little different than I think what Rebels had intended and what Phantom Menace intended to show of the Jedi trait or the Force, a trait of Force users.
Yes, and this is kind of where I'm coming from when I see it. Anakin was made from the Force, but all he ever had was fast reflexes without training. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have that now. Maybe this clone, this silly. Maybe they're going to explain it away that maybe this creature is even more powerful than Anakin, and that's the way they explain it. But to me, I do think that it was just. The first time I saw that, I was like, oh man, this is going to be used to explain Rey. So that was just my initial thoughts. But hey, we got 94 people watching, guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you smash that melee button. I am going to drop Final Death Star's link in chat here before I forget, so you guys can go to his channel and subscribe to him because he does some awesome content. Boom. Whoops. And he disappeared. Right as I said that, he disappeared. But that's all right. I'm still going to drop his link. I'm sure he's going to be right back. His Wi-Fi sounded like it might have been cutting in and out a little bit. So let's see what the chat's saying. I miss Anakin, yes. Well, look at this. Justin Proper in chat says, Baby Yoda is great. Hashtag cancel Ryan. I can't believe it. One of my own mods. Freddie Prinze Jr. acts like he never read what lines he was reading when he played Kanan and forgot all the training he had to do with Ezra. I agree, right? So we won't go too into Freddie Prinze Jr. because he's a little bit irrelevant, to be honest with you. And that's one of the reasons I think he made that rant. But yes, he goes and says all these things about, oh, well, that's what the Force had to create another person. 2 + 2 = 2, forgetting that he was also a Jedi and Ezra was a Jedi, and he met with other Jedi during Rebels, which is kind of silly. This Baby Yoda touched a Force user's hand once and learned everything. Maybe that happened. Maybe he used Force download like Rey did. Everything Star Wars in the chat, flexing those muscles. Well, maybe just I'm not trying to. I went to the gym already today. Laura Ryan stole my fan fiction story, who loves Baby Yoda and loves The Mandalorian, is here. So thank you for being here, Laura. Mark 115, love your stuff, Ryan. Thank you for the expanded universe lore. I never really got into it, but now it's interesting. Well, that's awesome, man. And I do think that the EU is a great place to turn for people who are looking for great Star Wars. I often go to the side here and I let people look at all this stuff. Right, all of this material that has tons of great Star Wars stories that a lot of people have never been exposed to. And after I dropped his link in chat, I thought he was just going to go. I thought that's all he wanted from me was a couple subs, but evidently he's come back for more. Final Death Star is back. Hello.
No, I got my subs. I'm out. See ya. Vanish. I don't know. I was having internet problems here, so hopefully it stays. Because you were getting really kind of choppy, and then it just vanished. So I don't know.
There you go.
Did I pixelate? That's really.
I didn't see you pixelate. I just saw you drop.
Dude, I was trying to get.
I just saw you drop. Let's see. Have I talked about genetic memory yet? Do you mean like Kamasi genetic memory? Is that what you mean? Maybe you can clarify, and I'll see that. But
I saw something that before I dropped out. I don't remember what it was. Darth Primus had said something in the chat, and I was going to comment on it. Now it's lost in the chat forever. Oh well, if it comes back,
that's all right.
Oh no, I found it. It was about Freddie Prinze saying it's for kids. Yeah, that was my other point. I was going to make that point on Mandalorian. Yeah, Freddie Prinze said this show's for kids, or Star Wars is for kids, and yet we see a stormtrooper being burned alive in this last episode. You see one getting like grappling hooked into a knife. He backstabs him. That would not be COPPA approved, this show. So
that's true. I'm hoping,
Freddie P.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Star Wars is not for kids because I want to keep talking about it on my channel.
Yeah, right.
Listen, there's a lot of people speculating he might be a clone, right? They think they spotted a Camino badge on that doctor's. Yeah, clearly collecting genetic material from him.
Right.
So there needs to be a lot more explained.
What do you think of this?
I'm just not going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. So did you catch the there's that scene where the Mandalorian's got his like rifle and he's pointing it down, but he's using it as like a sound, I guess like a microphone or something to amplify the sound, and it goes through walls apparently, and he can hear the doctor with Werner Herzog's character talking to each other, and Werner Herzog says, we've got what we want from it, destroy it, and then the doctor says, but our directives were to bring it back. I think he says he wants it alive, and then Werner Herzog says, I don't care. I can't guarantee your safety anymore. We got to get out of here. So what do you think that means? Who is he that's obviously given them the directive to take this thing alive? And why is Werner Herzog no longer able to protect them anymore? Who's after them?
I don't know. And it's going to be interesting to see where the show goes from here, right? Because he takes off at the end and, I don't know where he's going.
Yeah.
He's obviously not going to go get that calamari bounty now because the person that would turn it into, he thinks is dead. Yeah, so I think that now we're going to get into more Mandalorian stuff. That's what I'm hoping, right? We're going to get into more like he's going to go back to try to I don't know if they're going to try to go to another covert, if they're going to try to reunite the clans in some kind of way, something like that. I guess we'll see. But I am interested in The Mandalorian, which is something I haven't been in a lot of Star Wars stuff in a long time. So, and I've said on my reviews, I do think it's really good and a step forward. This last episode was great. I just think I'm not a fan of what they're doing with Baby Yoda. So, Mara Jade says Slave Leia is not a kids movie character. That is true. I can't tell you how many times I used to try to pause the VHSs at specific times to get the best possible views of Slave Leia. So, who do you think rescues the young Mando from the battle droid? I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I've heard rumors of an Obi-Wan appearance.
Obi-Wan, or who would be great? Ahsoka would be pretty cool to bring her in.
Sure.
I know you're not a big Ahsoka fan, are you, Ryan?
Not necessarily.
I think Ahsoka's probably become my favorite characters. Ahsoka and Vader, I think, are my two favorite characters. Ahsoka has been for quite a while. If you want to see like how to develop a character that was unliked and then take that through an amazing storyline, well, in my opinion, amazing storyline where she battles against evil, she battles against herself, she battles against the Jedi, ends up walking away. I mean, that the storyline is incredible with Ahsoka, and that's how you craft a well-developed character. Not Rey. Ahsoka is really the character we deserved, something like that, at least in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, she was awful like the first two seasons. I despised her, and I thought she was pretty OP. She's sitting there dueling General Grievous and stuff. But yeah, I do agree that it's better character.
She was trained by Anakin. I mean, at least it's like you got explanation as to why she's good.
Yeah, come on, man. Obi-Wan should have died facing him if he had any sense. But besides the point, it was a lot better character development than what we've seen in the sequel trilogy from Filoni. So I do agree, definitely. Yeah. RC from the NYC, $7.50. Thank you, sir. What's up, Ryan? What's up, Final Death Star? Hope everyone's doing well. Just started rereading the Thrawn trilogy thanks to your videos. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
One of the best things out there, 100%. And Mara Jade Skywalker brings up a great point. Bringing Ahsoka back via time travel ruins is stupid and not Star Wars. Yes, I agree. Once you start time traveling, you have broken your universe. Because now literally anything that happens,
there's no stake.
Done, right?
I mean, it takes away any stakes because you can always just go back and redo it. The only benefit it has is that it's incredibly hard to find that world between worlds. It's not like even Palpatine couldn't do it on his own. I don't like the fact that Ezra was somehow able to do it because it kind of means Ezra's like, you had Luke coming up, but Ezra was able to do this thing that even Palpatine wasn't able to do. But, that aside, it is hard for them to seem, to be able to open up this world between worlds. So I don't think it's something they can just do whenever. But yeah, it does open up a plot hole or a problem with the stakes. It does limit stakes.
Yeah. And so Brian says, too bad Darth Maul's dead by the Mandalorian series era. And there were a couple of people early on that there's still a lot of confusion about when the Mandalorian is set. It's set 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Yeah. So for anyone that's confused about that, so a lot of people think it's pre the OT and it's not, it's 5 years after.
The Empire's just fallen. That's why it's like you see the remnants. That's why the stormtroopers, I like the details in the show. The stormtroopers are dirty. Their uniforms don't look like they've been cleaned. They don't look like they've been well kept because there is no empire. They're just kind of the remnants of what once was, trying to sort of hold on to power in these outer rim territories. So where the New Republic isn't, apparently hasn't really taken over yet. So it's a nice little detail that you can see that once it breaks down, the empire breaks down, people are kind of, they're tough. They're living in, even though it's a little more, I guess, a little more free, times are tough. The money isn't worth what it was. You see the Mandalorian try to get credits, Imperial credits, and Carl Weathers' character says, I don't know if you heard, but the Empire's not around anymore. Like, this isn't worth what it was once worth. So there's some nice world building details, I think, that have gone into this show.
Yeah, and Larry, no, Ahsoka's species, they live about as long as humans, like 80 or 90 years. So yeah, they can't live super long.
No.
Yeah, all right. So the next thing, I think we've pretty much beat this Baby Yoda horse to death.
Eat Baby Yoda to death.
That would be my preference.
That's what you're gonna do for any merchandise, any Baby Yoda plush. You're gonna beat it to death.
Yes, that is what I intend to do. If you buy it, I will burn it. That's
if you buy it, I will burn.
Is there a first order? We don't know. I don't know anything about the First Order. I've been told I have to read 1 million comic books to understand it.
Yeah.
And I will say one thing. We'll go ahead and talk about this very briefly. There's been people, including Eckhart's Ladder and a couple other people, who have been doing some great work showing that Star Wars comic books have been absolutely ripping off fan art. So in order to draw the ships, they have been literally just stealing designs. They've been Googly searching images and looking them up, fan designs, and drawing them. Absolutely crazy. That is the state of Star Wars comics right now and Marvel comics. So that's sad and disappointing. I'm definitely not going to read anything that has those levels of lack of integrity. So I'm just not going to do it.
They did say that the show is, before the show aired, they did say they were going to get into the beginnings of the First Order, which I did not like because I want this to be like so far away from the sequel trilogy, but it's Disney, so I think they're going to try to justify a lot of things, but they did say they were going to deal with some sort of beginnings to the First Order. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Snoke is the one who's giving the directive to capture this Yoda thing to try to clone it. Maybe it's Palpatine from the Unknown Regions, and they kind of try to put that spin on it. I have a feeling it's going to be somehow Snoke trying to clone these baby Jedi Yoda things, or just younglings in general that have Force sensitive ability. I think they did that. They did this in, I don't know if it was Clone Wars, I forget now, but there was a storyline where Palpatine was actively hunting to try to find Force-sensitive younglings to...
It was in the Clone Wars.
Okay, it was Clone Wars, yeah. He was trying to capture babies. I think that's how...
I think he sent Cad Bane to the Jedi Temple to get a holocron that had a list of every
all the
known Force-sensitive child.
Yeah.
And there was some little Rhodian that Palpatine was trying to kidnap or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, that's right. That was Clone Wars. So, I don't know. Maybe this is a continuation of that in some way.
And I agree. Eckhart's video just exposes them all. It definitely does. When are we going to see the little Hutlet? I don't know.
We did in Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was like this was like the second. I feel like it was like the second season of Clone Wars.
Yeah,
because it was we were introduced to Cad Bane, I think. But
I think Cad Bane was. I thought he was first season.
I don't know. I thought it was when he breaks into the Jedi Temple. So maybe it's the second season. But anyway, 121 people watching. That is crazy. Nice. Smash a like button. Share the stream. You guys are excellent. Yes.
Clunky that like button.
McClunky that like button.
McClunky.
McClunky. Yes.
Yeah, Inquisitors work. Oh yeah, Shadows of the Empire. I like that, Pinky. That was a good book. I got that. I got a signed copy of that when that came out from the author. I was a big fan of that book, and the video game was pretty cool back then. You got to fight Boba Fett, which was pretty cool to do.
That's true.
Pixel Death Star.
Because Boba Fett. Well, I guess that was before Empire Strikes, or it was between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. But So they were trying. It was like on his way from. I think it was on his way from Cloud City to Tatooine. They find him, and they in the game you try to take him out and save Han, but you're not able to do it because he was Boba Fett. There is exactly. Jack says I'm right. It was season 2, episode 1. Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, season 2, episode 1. Okay.
Yeah. See, I hate on Filoni so much as anybody. But right here, look at this.
Yeah, you got it right there.
The complete season 2 of Clone Wars is literally sitting right here. So listen, I gave it a really good chance. There's a lot of parts of Clone Wars I liked. So
yeah.
Rod of the Hutt. Yes. Somebody asked about Fallen Order. I have played about 6 hours of Fallen Order. I had a tough ass time with this puzzle. My last stream, I know you were there.
I was watching that. I was in the chat for that.
God, it took a while, but I got it done. I'm liking it. I wish there was more story. There's a lot of running around.
Yeah, it's repetitive. It's a lot of kind of the same. You go to world after world, and it's kind of the same thing. But the gameplay is pretty good. It's smooth. It looks pretty nice. Yeah,
that's true. All right, so we are going to move on to our next topic, and that is Laura says Ryan is anti-Laura. You hate everything I love. I'm sorry. It's kind of true, but pretty much I've made a couple videos on this because when it came out, the first sentence pissed me off of her interview. So I want to talk about it a little bit because there's so much good stuff to get into in this interview. So we're going to share it. Boom. Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy on Rise of Skywalker and Future of Star Wars. Now, we don't hear a lot from Kathleen Kennedy, and there is a reason for that, right? There is a reason for that. Because every time she comes out, obviously we all are looking for her to say something wrong because we don't like her. Because we don't like what she's done with Lucasfilm. We don't like what she's done with Star Wars. So we're looking for something. Well, we found a lot of things to be upset about in this interview. And the very first thing, let me get this super chat real quick that just came in from Riff Magos.
What's up, Riff?
Australian $5 dues. Two of my favorite creators in the same stream. Rock on, brother. Thank you for the
rock on, Riff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see. This introduces her talking about what she's done, all the things she's done in her life. Okay.
Like a football star. Does it mention that again?
Yeah, she played quarterback at her high school. No one can verify. Yeah. Yep. Jurassic World director Colin Trevarrow was slated to write and direct episode 9 before we brought J.J. Abrams back in. Is this final entry in the trilogy a particularly hard nut to crack? And this is what set me off. Every one of these movies is a hard nut to crack. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers. Now,
Ryan, what is right behind you? What is that right behind you?
Well,
on your shelf there. What are those called?
So
let's take a look.
Let's see. I believe these are called books or
books.
novels.
Wow.
Some people call them novels.
And what do they deal with?
Star Wars. They're actually about Star Wars.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So listen. In 2012, when Disney bought Star Wars, as someone who had consumed, someone says sources behind Ryan. Yes.
Yep.
Someone who had consumed so much Star Wars expanded universe material. I was so excited when Disney bought Star Wars because I thought we were going to get continuations or adaptations of these stories that I loved. Then in 2014, the literal words they said were, in order to protect or to preserve the creative freedom of our storytelling, we're not going to be following the stories from the expanded universe. Now, when you come out and say this, you literally threw these sources in the fucking trash, Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, first you admit that they exist, so you do know you have them, so you can't plead ignorance.
Yeah, and the memes from this, it's like the memes from this are ridiculous because everybody knows it's such an asinine thing to say. So 5 years after the fact, after you say you don't want to use this stuff, use it as an excuse as to why it's so difficult to make these movies is absolutely ridiculous. And everyone sees through it. And it's just insane, right? Someone said, "What are books? I'm a millennial." And it's true. I have over 100 novels sitting behind me. I have hundreds of comic books that are Star Wars. And not to say that each and every one of those I want to be made into a movie or anything. That's not the case. But there's a lot of stories I would definitely have liked told. And I'm sure a lot of broader audiences would too. So it's ridiculous for this woman to come out here who has done such a poor job giving us the Star Wars that we deserve, for her to say that.
Yeah, it's insane that that's like the reason she's giving. I mean, she has to be so out of touch with the fandom, because to say something like that in Rolling Stone, I mean, a major publication, does she honestly think there's going to be no backlash from that? From I mean, there was a whole movement, the Twin Sons Foundation, right? There's a whole movement. They put a poster, a billboard up outside Lucasfilm, bring back the EU, and they're doing it again. You know, you just had that fundraiser for it, Ryan. And it's like, are you that unaware? There was a whole billboard devoted to the EU, and now you're going to come out and say there's no source material to pull from, and everyone's just trying to make it up as they go. And it's like, that's not a reason. That's not an excuse. And it makes you just sound so out of touch with the fan base. You know, at least when Filoni talks about Star Wars, even if you don't like what he says, he at least says it in a way that makes you feel and believe that he at least, you know, is a disciple of Lucas and cares about Star Wars and the narratives he's telling. But man, you have a sense like this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Mara Jade Skywalker brings up a great thing here. We've seen them pilfer from the exact sources that she say don't fucking exist, right?
Absolutely, yep.
We've seen a terrible ass Thrawn in Rebels, a cucked version of Grand Admiral Thrawn, one of the greatest villains in fiction history, in my opinion, in the Thrawn trilogy. And they brought him into Rebels just to level up what we thought of the Rebels, right? What we thought of the crew of the Ghost. That is why Thrawn was brought in, to cater to fan service while not giving us what we actually wanted, and to level up these Ghost characters in everyone's minds. So that was a huge issue I had. And then
he was very, very, very watered down in Rebels. It was not the Thrawn of the novels at all, by far. Yeah, I mean, they tried. It was like the carbon copy of version 3 of Thrawn. You ever see Multiplicity with Michael Keaton? It's like he's got like the different versions, and then there's like the last. It was like the copy, and he doesn't really. He's not all there. You know, it's kind of like the Thrawn we got in Rebels.
Yeah, and just like she did, they used the Jan Orso, the Jyn Erso story is Jan Ors from the EU. If you don't know, if you've never played Dark Forces, which came out in the 90s. Right, that was a story about Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors, an Asian woman, by the way. I can't believe they turned her white. I can't believe they turned her white on this gender swap story that's called Rogue One, and that's exactly what that is. It's the story of how they stole the Death Star plans. They took that. This is their source material they claim doesn't exist, but they're just bastardizing it. Crazy Eye Jedi for $2. I think that was Kennedy dissing EU fans.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I said this at the end of my video. I don't know if she's that stupid. I
mean, do you think she's not seeing that huge billboard that was out there? I don't know. Is she that unaware? I can't believe it. I mean, I take that back. I could believe that she is that unaware.
Listen, we'll get into something later here. There's something later, and I might as well do it now since we're talking about it. They talk about Last Jedi, right? Rian Johnson made some controversial choices in The Last Jedi, especially considering its dramatic purpose. The second movie in a trilogy where you, to an extent, deliberately set out to challenge fans. She says, oh yeah, we were setting out to challenge fans, definitely. Now, she goes and talks about how she loves Rian Johnson. Even though he can't get it up for her, he still appreciates him. And then he says, I think people forget that, especially when you're doing a trilogy. The first movie is setting things up. The second movie is usually the conflict, and the third is the resolution. So, okay, if you want to go with that premise, that's fine. Now, so you're bound to have a second movie, much the way Empire Strikes Back was probably the darkest and most dramatic of the three. Now listen to this. This is someone who worked with Steven Spielberg, who worked with George Lucas, who was made her her claim to fame was being involved with the Indiana Jones trilogy. Yeah. Now listen to this. If you know anything about Indiana Jones, just listen to this woman. We talked about it with Indiana Jones. You know, we did Raiders of the Ark, and then we did Temple of Doom, which was dark and created a lot of controversy. And people were surprised where it went with the storytelling. Temple of Doom is a fucking prequel.
Yeah, and Raiders of the Ark?
Yes. I'm hoping that
Raiders
that's
of the
a
Ark?
typo. I'm hoping that's a typo.
I don't know.
Lost Ark.
I
But
don't know.
Temple of Doom was set before Raiders of the Lost Ark. You're not setting up any conflict to go into the third movie. You're an idiot. This is why people are so upset, and it's why it feels like Kathleen Kennedy. The only reason that she's where she is because she brought people coffee and people liked her, and that is absolutely asinine for someone to make that example. It shows you don't know anything about what you're actually working on.
Yeah. It goes beyond Star Wars. It's even Indiana Jones. You don't know the title if it's not a typo. And yeah, Temple of Doom is a prequel. It happens before Raiders of the Lost Ark takes place in the chronology. That's crazy.
Yes, it's just when I read, I was stunned, and we haven't really heard too much about this part because we've been so focused on the other stupid shit she said.
There's a lot in this article. There's something else she says about choosing the right people too that we could talk about as well.
Yeah, but I saw a super chat. Nick Wilson, Disney sequel. Am I right? Yes, that is going around. People are stopping using the words sequel trilogy, and instead they're saying Disney trilogy.
Yeah.
Yes. So I do enjoy that going around. That's funny to me. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that, man. See a couple people saying bye in chat. Well, bye, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
Let's see. Temple of Doom wasn't controversial because of its content. It was controversial because it was a lesser movie to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And it was controversial for sure, but it has nothing to do with being a middle part of a trilogy.
No.
I'm trying to explain away. Now, everyone, I'm going to take the screen share down for a second because we need to do an introduction here. A very important person is about to join. Someone who I respect, someone who is always drinking whiskey, someone who had other commitments before this stream, but I'm so happy he's here now. 19K Fox, how are you doing, sir?
Thank you, sir, for having me. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. My God, I feel treasured and loved and blessed.
Oh, you absolutely are, my friend. How are you doing?
Great. How are you? Loving that mug, by the way.
Plugging your mug here. This is 19K Fox's own little creation, not my Luke. Yeah. Cheers to you.
Listen, I was looking for my 19K Fox shirt until I realized it was in the laundry because I was going to wear it for you on stream today, but my shirt is in the laundry.
I'm not wearing my pixelated Ryan, so I'm not going to give you a hard time.
Well, we're even then. It's all even.
It is all even. It's all even. Yeah.
So we got done. Listen, we've talked about Baby Yoda. We talked about Mandalorian a little bit. Now we're talking about Kathleen Kennedy and some of the stupid shit she said this week. And now I don't know, it hasn't been talked about too much, but one thing, I'll bring my screen back up here. One thing that she said, I just kind of went on a helpful Jeremy says, "Hail Ryan's gay clothes." Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, here we go. So we're talking about, she got asked about Last Jedi, why some of the choices were made in The Last Jedi that were made this way. And she says, you're bound to have a second movie in a trilogy that's darker, that sets up the conflict. And she used Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom as an example of a second movie setting up conflict. Now, I have some issues with that. Why do you find, or 19K Fox, why do you think I might have issues with her saying that?
Because there's not a continuous narrative through all three films, you moron. These are three individual stories. They happen to star the same guy, but that's really it. This is not one story going from point to point, episode 1 to episode 3. I mean, it's just...
That's a good point.
That's the whole episode
we're talking about. That's a good point. Team.
That the whole the entire interview is her being as vague as humanly possible and hitting on emotionality and non just... It was very frustrating, and when she gets to that point to make that sort of that comparison, I wanted to just scream.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you thought about this when you were thinking about that, but Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is a prequel. It takes place before that. So you can't set up a conflict like that if you're extending it to the last one in a trilogy. It makes
but Ryan, to be fair, she wasn't there for any of these. Oh wait, oh shit, she was there for all of them, for every single one since 1982. So I don't know if she was just getting coffee the whole time or what was going on, but she seems to be missing a few things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I said it before you got it. That's why people just see her as someone that carried coffee for people, because she clearly has no idea about what's actually going on. And it's pretty sad. But what we were really talking about was the source material issue and the fact that I hear myself echoing just a little bit, guys. I don't know. I'm not sure who it is, but
I don't have. It's not me.
But the source material, it must be 19K Fox because now he's muted. But the source material issue, 19K Fox is someone who has been reading Heir to the Empire and Dark Force Rising along with the EU book club. So even he knows more than Kathleen Kennedy about the source material that is.
Well, he knows it exists, so that's one thing.
Exactly.
You can't just call all of this garbage and trash and say it doesn't exist. I mean, we have the interview. We see them on camera sitting next to George Lucas, saying how we have all these stories and comic books and games, and I'm passing this treasure trove over to her. I mean, that was cited, not just the movies, all of the material, everything that Lucasfilm touched, ILM, all that, Lucas Arts, all of this content was being moved over to give her ideas and inspiration for movies, to come. So, I mean, I knew this would piss you off, Ryan. I knew this would piss off Lethal Lightning, Lord Callis, everyone who loves the EU as much as you do and has that knowledge. I think it's someone trying desperately to defend their position or their lackluster films. That's all I can gather from this.
Yeah, she also forgot to mention that, they threw out George's treatments, which they also had for the whole sequel trilogy. So not only was there the EU, they had the father himself with his outline for it, and they chose not to use that. So, I mean, that makes it even more asinine, this statement.
Yeah, exactly. And that you brought up a great point, Fox. There's literally where they do that interview where George is talking about handing it over. He talks about the hundreds of novels and comics. George is aware of this. George has said several times, including one famous moment with Stephen Colbert, that what I was planning to do was no secret. It was about the father, the children, and the grandchildren, just like in the novels. Like it's a couple things, right? It's idiocy. I don't think it's ignorance. It can't be ignorance, but maybe since she said that about Temple of Doom, it can be ignorance. But I think it's just intentional, hoping that no one will call her out, which clearly that didn't happen. And Riff Magos says, George Lucas approved much of the EU written material back in the day. George Lucas was the final approver for everything.
He did. He had final say.
Right? Exactly. He even put a stop to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about it later. So Kathleen Kennedy got caught in another lie. We heard in April when we saw the premiere or the teaser trailer for Rise of Skywalker, when Palpatine laughs and we realized that Palpatine's coming back. Kathleen Kennedy was asked straight up. Was this the plan all along? And she says, yes, it was. It was the plan all along for him to come back in episode 9. Now, that's a little bit of a problem because Colin Trevarrow has started talking. And the Emperor didn't return in Colin Trevorrow's original Rise of Skywalker script.
Luke was also alive in his script.
Exactly. Here we go. Now, if you guys remember, let's set up the timeline for you. Colin Trevorrow was working on his script, working on the story for episode 9. He even had asked Rian Johnson to film some things for him while they were on location, since he was there already, and Rian Johnson did. Now, going up to the release of The Last Jedi, they were talking to Colin Trevorrow, and they didn't like some of the things in his script, right? So they had a parting of ways. J.J. Abrams came back in to help, like a handoff, basically, and then Colin Trevorrow finally officially left. Well, we have Colin here saying bringing back the Emperor was an idea JJ brought to the table when he came on board. It's honestly something I never considered. I commend him for it. This was a tough story to unlock, and he found the key. Mm-hmm. So with those couple sentences, Colin Trevorrow just showed us that J.J. Abrams has been lying all along. Kathleen Kennedy has been lying all along when they told us that Palpatine was always part of the plan. Now, I guess you could say that J.J., you could theorize that, well, maybe J.J., that was his plan all along, but he wasn't supposed to do 9. So you can't say that that was Kathleen Kennedy's plan all along. It's impossible.
Yep. This brings up another point that Kathleen Kennedy says somewhere in this interview where she's just, saying a bunch of this crap. She says that, she's carefully choosing. They think very thoughtfully. I think she says thoughtfully on who they choose to put in these positions, write these stories and make these movies, with great care. Look at her track record. She kicked out Gareth Edwards was, I think Terry Gilliam had to come in and replace Gareth Edwards for Rogue One. Lord and Miller were kicked out and Ron Howard was brought in. Then you've got Trevarrow, who was kicked out, and they bring JJ back. That's 3 people. How thoroughly and thoughtfully, with great care, are you thinking about who you're putting in these positions? It can't be that much because you're kicking them out halfway through or more than halfway through, what they're supposed to do. Even that is like, come on, really? You're really thinking this through?
The interview takes place in October. The movie comes out in December, and you're still trying to figure out the story.
Yeah,
and you pretend as if that's that's normal, that's standard operating procedure. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
that's not even close. These things are locked down way in advance, and then we figure out the execution, not story ideas. She also said the number one thing that they look for is sensibilities in a director and a filmmaker. That's what we're looking for: sensibilities. Someone to get the emotional connection. No,
sensibilities of Ryan Johnson.
You have actors to portray, to get to tell your story on screen. They deal with the emotion. They try to grab the audience and bring the audience in. Your job is to develop a story, a well thought out, well written story, and then execute that story. Put that on screen. We're not. Hey, I know we got to put this thing out, but let's keep spitballing ideas. It's no leadership. It's a lack of vision. It's sort of, hey, let's just kind of go at it until, we have to put the movie out and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a super chat here from Mexican Iron Man 499. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. I wish I was good at editing video. Need a KK Liar compilation video. That might take you a while. That Dum Dum was a table dancer in that Indiana Jones movie opening scene. She lies.
Oh, yeah. Was that Temple of Doom? She's a dancer in that.
God.
I think she's
heard that.
Yeah, I think she's an extra in that.
For God's sakes.
Dancer.
I've heard that, but I've never been able to confirm that.
I have to rewatch it and see, because that's a good point.
Yeah. And so speaking of JJ and Palpatine, speaking of Kathleen Kennedy and not having any sources, listen, if you're a follower of the expanded universe, you may have heard of one time. I have the TV on because of football. I need to turn it off because I keep seeing stuff that's distracting.
The Cowboys lost, so I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. But you may have heard of something called Dark Empire. Now, Dark Empire, it was one of those things that a lot of people didn't like for certain reasons. It came out in the mid-90s. It was a comic. It was a big 3-part comic saga, kind of. And one of the things that happens is Palpatine comes back in a way. Palpatine's spirit comes back and essentially inhabits clone bodies. So, the actual Palpatine was killed because it's impossible for anyone to survive that. But he was able, through his spirit, kind of like a Force ghost, transfer his essence into clones of himself. And it's a very, very complex story. But that was one of the things that when they said, we're not going to do anything with the EU, people said, oh, thank God. That's one of the terrible stories. How could they bring Palpatine back? Now you have these same people, crawling over themselves at the fact that now Palpatine is back. And not as a clone, but just Palpatine somehow survived. Which I saw people bring up. It does negate Vader's sacrifice if he didn't actually die.
Completely. Yeah.
So this was a story that this is something that they stole. There's no doubt in my mind that they took inspiration from this.
It completely not only negates Vader's sacrifice, it really negates the entire purpose of the Skywalkers at all in any of the movies. Because if this is true, if Vader did not kill Palpatine, say Rey happens to be a Palpatine, if that rumor comes true and she is like Palpatine's granddaughter, then you have just negated any purpose of the Skywalker saga, because they didn't need to be there at all. The Emperor was still going to live. It was still going to take Rey to defeat him and kill him. All that Vader did was delay the inevitable. Luke was pointless. I mean, this whole Skywalker saga is pointless if he did not die on the Death Star 2. Because the whole story is the fall and redemption of Anakin. Sure, he fell to the dark side and, came back, was brought back by his son, but who cares? It didn't mean anything anyway in the grand scope of the galaxy. A lot of Jedis died, but that's it. Palpatine still went through with his plan. He still managed to survive, and it still took another chosen one, Rey, his granddaughter, to beat him. I mean, it negates the entire point of Star Wars.
This is not inspiration. This is desperation. This is, oh shit, Snoke's dead. What do we do? And we got to find a new bad guy, and we got to dig up Palpatine, and we have to make it work. That's why they're still working on the story. I think to this day, they're still shooting. I don't know if they're shooting or if it's all post now. They're trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, boys. I mean, this is just
out of chicken shit.
And they're trying to get this together. They're trying to just cobble a story together. And listen, I'm sorry. For the most part, I think The Force Awakens was okay until 8 didn't deliver, and so now it sort of retroactively destroys 7. Mm-hmm. But all the imagination that JJ has is color swapping existing TIE fighters and X-Wings and putting a little red paint on something, and calling it a day. I mean, that's all we're going to get in this. So we're going to get red Sith troopers. We're going to get Star Destroyers, but they're going to have like a red racing stripe, like the Fast and Furious.
They put a racing stripe over Star Destroyer.
He's going to be floaty killer guy coming back, and there'll be some convoluted story why he's back. I don't know, and it's just, it's a bad position for JJ to be in, but this is Kathleen's fault.
Yeah, that's true. I do agree. Like, you have to hold the leadership accountable that they didn't have a cohesive story ready to go before they filmed before they filmed episode 7. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make any sense. And and JJ has come out and said that listen, there's a really funny thing that JJ said. We're talking about plans right here. This is another, again, JJ Abrams did an interview. All these people are coming out and doing interviews, and it's not really that good for them, to be honest.
Is this where he talks about the criticism of Lucas? Yeah, this is.
Yeah. But there's a specific part. Now, this is where, listen, in this thing, we'd all been told, Doomcock came out and said, hey, they're still doing reshoots of this movie. And people said, no, they're not. Well, in this thing, it comes out here and it starts. Director J.J. Abrams is trying to talk about his new Star Wars movie, but the process of making it keeps intruding. He's in his office on the second floor of his Bad Robot production company. Just last week, Abrams was doing reshoots right here at Bad Robot in a green screen room that allows him maximum movie tweaking flexibility. It's mid-October. The film is 71 days away from release. So this was back in October when they did this. Mm-hmm. With JJ, the interviewer here, is telling you that he was in the middle of doing reshoots.
Oh my god!
So I mean,
that confirms that rumor right there.
Exactly. Now, how much? That's always up for debate.
Sure.
But that's definitive proof. Definitely. And then there's a part here. There were certain amusing irreverence in Rian Johnson's approach to The Last Jedi. He subverted some of what you set up. Snoke seemed like the major villain, and he killed him off. JJ says, shots fired, Rian Johnson. JJ says, when I read his first draft, it made me laugh because I saw that it was his take and his voice. I got to watch cuts of the movie as he was working on it. And as an audience member, I appreciated the choices he made as a filmmaker that probably would have been very different from what I made, just as he would have made different choices than I had. But that very first thing, when I read his first draft, it made me laugh.
Hadn't he said earlier, like a year ago when this backlash came out, didn't he support him and said, when I read the script, I was in awe of it? Didn't he say something like that a year ago, saying how much he loved the script when he first read it? Now he's saying he laughed.
Yeah, it's all lies coming from these people, and I understand you don't necessarily want to talk bad about the people that you're in business with and in the same company, and I get that. But you look at here, what surprised you the most about what he did? I felt the biggest surprise was how dark Luke was. That was the thing I thought, oh, that was unexpected. And that's the thing, The Last Jedi, undeniably, that's the thing that it undeniably succeeds at. Constant subversion of expectations.
Do you know what the last shot that JJ wanted to have for Force Awakens? What his idea, what he was going to shoot, then Ryan came in and kind of changed it so they didn't go with that. But you know what JJ wanted to do, right?
What's that?
Yeah, so when Ray comes up to him and sees him standing there, JJ's original idea was for him to have like rocks and boulders all floating around him. They wanted to have him like emanating light. Like he was like transcendental, emanating light and force from his body because he was that strong with the Force. So that was JJ's original idea. And then Ryan said, oh, no, let's not go with that, because I'm going to take all of that away. He's going to be disconnected from the Force. I mean,
you're exactly right, Final. Early interviews with Mark Hamill tell you that story. And that's why Colin Trevarrow was excited about, okay, we're going to have this version of Luke and we're going to have it going into the third movie, and this is what I'm going to do. And it just snowballed or was like a wrecking ball, I guess, and just destroyed all those plans. But Luke was going to be standing there in the Force. He was the king shit. He was the man. I mean, it was just going to be thoughtless, his use of the Force, his exercising of the Force, having everything floating around him. And it was the symbolism between where we saw him in, Return of Empire Strikes Back, where he's struggling to lift anything. Now he's so into the Force, he's doing it effortlessly. And now we see this master Luke in front of us. And wow, where's he been? What's he been up to? And
looks like he was training and practicing in between there or something like that. Crazy. I didn't know you needed any of that.
You don't need that. Not in this Star Wars.
I kept waiting for him to just raise that X-Wing out of the water, with like no effort.
Just like
Last Jedi. I kept thinking, it's coming. I know the payoff's coming. It's going to be a callback to Dagobah, where he couldn't do it.
It's a call. It's funny you mentioned that. It's a callback to a better movie with no payoff. We see it in the water, and everybody's thinking, "Wait a minute, he couldn't lift it. Remember, he couldn't lift it. Oh man, I bet he's gonna see there's a problem. He's gonna freaking just flick a finger or look at it. It's gonna fly. It's just gonna jump out of the water. He's gonna jump in there and take off. Nothing.
But Ryan subverted our expectations.
Now, speaking of Rian Johnson subverting our expectations, I know somebody who went to see Rian Johnson's newest movie, Knives Out.
Knife in the back.
Yeah. And he's on this panel. Guys.
He is.
And I wanted an honest opinion from him about it because, let's be honest, I don't think anyone on here is really going to go see it.
How do you live with yourself?
It's a tough thing. My hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Well, at least you're honest about it. That's unlike Kathleen. You admit your mistakes.
Part of my channel is movie reviews. I do a 2-minute review, and it's the idea is to review a new movie, no spoilers, and give you just a 2-minute impression of what I thought of the movie and should you go see it. And it's a way for me to kind of build an audience. So I'm very impartial in those. In this review, I did state my feelings for Ryan. Very, very tame. I didn't go into a rant, or that would be the whole review. So the movie in isolation is a good movie. It's a complicated movie that could very easily be, you could screw that up pretty easily if you don't have a good, tight script to really sort of keep the audience engaged, pulling along. Okay, you have to be in this to the end to find out the end. Who did it, what's going on, because it's a murder mystery. It's a whodunit. It's not as comical as Clue, but I was surprised the way how good the film was, particularly the script, because Ryan wrote and directed this, and for me, this was the final piece of the puzzle. I needed the proof that Ryan could pull off a good movie, because in my mind and in some people's defending of sort of what we got with The Last Jedi, this is the best Ryan could do. He's only done a couple of movies. He's inexperienced. He couldn't help but make a movie the way that he made it because this is his skill set. Wrong. It's a lie. He's very, very capable of putting together characters that you can enjoy, you can know, you can love, you can believe them. They have a backstory. They're flushed out completely. He's also capable of putting together a story that is coherent and makes sense. He didn't do it in 8, and I believe it was deliberate. And so while that movie in isolation is good, If you like that stuff, go see it. That's fine. But knowing what I know of the director, it just takes salt and puts it right in the wound.
Does Daniel Craig at any point in the movie take a Walther PPK and throw it over his shoulder?
Nobody should. He should have.
Okay.
He should have. That's the one thing. If there was anything I could add to the movie, that would be it.
Nice. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting because I know a lot of people aren't going to see it. And I don't have any issue with the way that anyone spends their money. I never will. So I did think it was interesting that Rian Johnson is capable of making a very good movie, like you said. And
good, honest review. 19.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes you question, what the hell he was doing with Star Wars. And like we said, I think that Kathleen Kennedy has a lot of responsibility for what's going on. Because part of the reason this wasn't successful is because there wasn't a plan. They should have just let one person write the entire thing. I don't know why they want 3 different directors that had nothing to do with one another really writing it. That seems like a bad idea to make a trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if Last Jedi had been a separate movie, not Star Wars, had nothing to do with anything that we know and love, then that movie might have worked because there's no attachment to anything. There was just some grumpy guy and he went to, he started sort of training this girl who's powerful. And it might have worked if it was just a standalone movie that wasn't Star Wars and had nothing to do with the characters you love, because it had some nice, pretty shots in it. It's just when you put all the context of the history of Star Wars and what these characters are and where they've come from and what they mean, and without having any reference in, the last 30 years to understand why is Luke like this, it just doesn't work, so that was the main problem. He just didn't respect what he was doing. I think if it was a standalone movie that had nothing to do with anything, it might've been okay. Just a sci-fi movie.
Well, take, for example, the scene with the guy actually takes his finger and licks the ground, and on Crate and says, salt. How stupid is that? How boneheaded is that we have to be so on the nose with the audience?
Yeah.
They can't possibly comprehend that. So we have to physically show them. That to me is
that's more of that's movies in general these days, though. I think that's more of a cultural problem.
Right. Well, but for me, that was maybe a way you could say, okay, well, Rian Johnson just doesn't know how to write. He's a bad writer. You don't see that in Knives Out. Subtlety is there. Many things are implied but not shown, and then it's revealed towards the end of the movie. So that's not an excuse. That tells me that this was deliberate. These decisions were made on purpose. I think, it's my theory, to divide the fandom, to wreck Star Wars because he just could. That was his intent, boys. That's my opinion.
Well, he did say that he had that interview a couple years ago that he classified what a successful movie is in his eyes is one that half the people walk out and love it and half the people walk out and hate it. And that's what he holds as a good, well done quality film. So, you have that going in, you have that mentality. And that also goes right back to Kathleen Kennedy's, we're so thoughtful of who we hire. Well, how much research did you do? Did you know? Because I agree with you, Fox. I think that was the agenda, and I think Kathleen Kennedy had that agenda too. And that's why they hired him to do that, because they knew he had this point of view. And that's why she's a bad leader. You don't do that with something like Star Wars.
Yeah. Shazar says it's worse. The damn movie starts with a Yo Mama joke.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I guess maybe that was my issue with the whole thing is this is part 8 of a 9-episode saga. You can't have your take on something. It has to be within the continuity of what's going on. It has to make narrative sense. It has to make, if you have rules in your universe, like hyperspace and things like that, it has to make sense in that factor. You can't just break things. So just all around, maybe he could have directed it if he'd been given a good script. Maybe that could have been possible.
If he had a good script to work with, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. There were some nice shots in it, but it was just the visuals alone. But you put them in context, everyone loves that hyperspace scene. Everyone loves, sarcastically, where it goes through the ship. Holdo sends it through the Snoke's Super Star Destroyer thing, and I mean it. It looked nice, but then you put it in context of but why then that means any little ship could go through an entire fleet. They could have sent one through the Death Star. Like, why have a space battle? I mean, it creates a lot of problems. So, but it kind of looked nice.
And I'm going to be honest. When I saw it, my first impression was, "Whoa!" Then I said,
"Yeah,
wait, whoa, wait, what?"
Yeah, you think like, "Whoa!" I was expecting that.
And then you realize a half second later it doesn't make any sense.
Right, but doesn't that mean then that they could have just taken an X-wing through the
everything?
Yeah, would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
And have you guys heard the rumor that she might be alive? Holdo might be alive. That might not have killed her.
Why not? Why not?
Well, maybe she'll come back as a Force ghost, guys. You never know.
Wielding a lightsaber.
The biggest, one of the biggest problems with JJ's idea of like starting this off in where they started it in Force Awakens was 30 years have gone by and you start at a point where you have no reference point. You don't know what's happened. Like, why is Kylo evil? You don't know any of this stuff, right? So you go through these movies and they haven't really explained a lot. Lucas started it in episode 4, but he had an idea. Plus, we have no reference. We had no reference point at that, in that time. So this was all new. So it worked because you were introduced to everything. But you can't start a story like where Force Awakens starts and expect it to work like episode 4 because we have the reference. We have the history. We kind of know the characters. So, it was kind of a bad idea starting it there without any kind of reason as to why things are the way they are. And they didn't explain them in the movies. So like you said, Ryan, now we have a million comics and novels we have to read to figure out what's going on and why are things the way they are. Yeah. And we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to rely on supplemental material. It should go to enhance the storyline, but not give you the storyline.
Complete it, yeah.
Exactly. Just like everything behind me, right? It expands the universe that George Lucas created, and that was always its intention, right?
It's called the expanded universe, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? They were very creative in their naming, very on the nose with their naming. We do have a $2 super chat from Rosetta Allen. Blessings to the panel. Thank you, Rosetta. Appreciate you as always. Geeky Candy, Ryan, what's your P.O. box? I need to send you something. I don't want to give it away, but it's cute and green. Oh my God.
A Slimer.
Slimer, I assume. Yeah. So my P.O. box is linked. My P.O. box is in the description of every video, including this live stream. So it should be down there. P.O. box something in Chula Vista, California. So I would love to get it from you, Candace. Please send me.
I just want to know where she got it because I've been trying to find one. I can't find one.
Well,
yeah. You soon will be able to, though. Christmas is coming, and they're not missing that opportunity.
Buy it soon, you will.
Yes.
Merchandise we have.
Out in time for Christmas it will be. Yes, exactly. So that is one day they've hit it on the nose. They're going to sell. They're finally going to be able to move merchandise with a Baby Yoda. That is very true. Little man says, Geeky Candy, good to see you, Mandalorian. And that's true. Candace has been diving deep into every possible rumor and spoiler and leak and everything Mandalorian. So if you want to know the deep, gritty details and what she thinks is coming next, definitely go check out her channel.
I've got a good question to ask you guys. I meant to do this in our fourth wave the other day, but I forgot. So I'll ask you guys this. Why do you think it is that there's all these leaks coming out with the Rise of Skywalker, right? And, there's all the Doomcock, all his reports and the screenings and all this stuff. Why do you think it was able to be kept under wraps about the Baby Yoda? I mean, no one talked about this. No one heard anything. The only rumor I had read was that the Mandalorian does find this little baby, and I think a baby girl is what the rumor that I had read said. So that's kind of close, but I mean, Baby Yoda was really kept under wraps. Why do you think the leaks are getting out with Rise of Skywalker? You think we would have found out something about Baby Yoda, but I mean, it was a surprise to pretty much everyone.
So there was, so Brian Young did come out and say something about it weeks ago. But I don't know. I tried to stay away from the rumors because maybe it's because I actually had hope. I actually had hope for Mandalorian. So I intentionally tried to stay away from everything. Candace, bless Candace's heart, she did a huge thing about all the rumors and spoilers. She put it out a couple weeks before the Mandalorian, and I went on there. I left a comment. I said, I'm not watching this because I don't want to be spoiled, but I'll leave a like.
Okay, I just saw her comment there. She says, I guess I know. You knew, Candace, about Baby Yoda in October?
Yeah, I think
Maybe
it's
you're
probably,
gay? Yeah.
Candace, it's probably based off that Brian Young video, if I had to imagine.
Okay, she says she knew of it. Okay, yeah, and you're right, Brian. I mean, the focus wasn't on the Mandalorian to find out, because a lot of people did have hope in it, so we were kind of excited about it. And I guess the focus wasn't really there to dig through the leaks like it was for Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, because of obviously all the heat and anger it brought up in people.
Yeah, and Isildur's Bane. Yeah, I am in San Diego. I'm not born and raised, but I am living here now. So, yeah, man. Let's see. Not Ryan Young. I think that Candace is probably on her phone. Based on
typing quick.
But yeah. But yeah, it was out there.
Yoda puppets were spotted.
Yeah. But I think the person that initially broke that news was Brian Young, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you see what she just said? Is that
yes,
boy.
That's true. Yeah, like 5 or 6.
So that means like clones, or they're just using multiple puppets for different shots.
Who knows? Yeah, they might have one for standing up. They might have one for laying in the crib.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I hope it's not a bunch of them. Well, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
She punted off her knee. I would love to do that. I would love for somebody to send me a Baby Yoda puppet and I could just film myself just beating the shit out of it, kicking it across the road, throwing it off the Coronado Bridge, burning it at the stake. I would have a lot of fun. Hopefully get some EVS style traction. That would be great. That would be fantastic.
So what you're saying is you're a big fan of Baby Yoda.
Yes, exactly.
Big fan.
For all the different ways he can destroy it.
We talk about merchandising, but seriously, I have a 12-year-old, my son that just made a cameo, and he asked for the lightsaber, Kylo Ren's lightsaber, before Force Awakens came out, and then nothing, silence. Right this year, he asked for Mando, the Black Series figure, and Cal from the game.
Wow,
so nice. Yeah,
there is a corner being turned. It's not a redemption by any means, but it's generating some interest in that age group. So.
What I hope is it highlights to the powers that be, Bob Iger, that we're willing to spend money on stuff we like. Like we're showing you, here's what we like, and here's what we don't. So get rid of what we don't, and keep giving us what we like. Because this is a step in the right direction. It doesn't change, everything. Obviously, there's a lot to make up for, but it is definitely a step in the right direction. And I'm excited about Obi-Wan now, and I was kind of skeptical. But I'm more excited now because I thought Deborah Chow did a great job with the chapter 3. Yep. I mean, there were some great shots. The pacing was great. It moved along. I loved some of the shots from like Yoda's point or Yodeling's point of view. Yeah. I thought it was just a great episode. It sped through pretty quickly. The action happened. I loved some of those action scenes with him kind of going through and preying on the man or the stormtroopers.
That's what I wanted to see, man. I wanted to see a Mandalorian doing Mandalorian things, right? And exactly what he did, infiltrating the way he did into the Imperial little hideout there, taking out stormtroopers in a smart fashion. That is what I wanted to see, more so than the end, like with all the theatrics of the end, with all the Mandalorians coming to save him. I love the stormtrooper part so much more.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, Candace, making Star Wars is Jason Ward. I always get him and Brian Young mixed up. So yeah, makingstarwars.net, Jason Ward, both interesting gentlemen. But yeah, there it is. Oh my, I can't believe you spoiled it, little man. Jar Jar Binks is the Mandalorian.
Here we go again.
That's why the helmet's on.
Damn it, man.
Subverting our expectations. Favronics.
Yeah. But yeah, so what did you I don't know if I watched your episode 3 review, Fox. I remember I watched your episode 2 review and I gave it a thumbs up because it was getting downvoted so bad.
I appreciate the help. That was the ratio got me on that one. Yeah, I was honest in that one. I gave it a 6, I think, and that didn't. People didn't like that.
For episode 2,
forbid you say it's okay, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I said it was okay. I had issues. I had some problems. It was foreboding, in my opinion. It's like, oh, we're gonna have some issues down the road. I don't like the way the script, some of the decisions that were being made, but obviously I was wrong because episode 3 was awesome. I think that I love the John Wick stuff. Like you said, Ryan, when he sneaks in, he takes them out one at a time in different ways. I mean, at one point he uses the whistling birds at the end, which was awesome. It was reminiscent of like, Iron Man in some ways.
Literally exactly ripped off from that scene.
Yeah.
That's how I explained it.
And I don't mind sonar though. They must track with sonar because of how whistling birds.
Well,
and they make
they're made with Beskar steel.
Yeah,
That
but there's
makes them
some. They make
unique.
that whistling sound. I mean, unless that's
Mhm.
literally the sound that the object makes flying through. But I think they have some kind of technology in there that's like making a whistling, so like a bat sonar, and able to track its target. That's what I was kind of getting from the reason they called it whistling bird. I mean, maybe they just
rare too.
huh?
And they're extremely rare. I mean,
Yeah.
the point was made, conserve these. We can't just make these. And I was
And then he
assuming
uses them all at once, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was assuming it was just because they were made of the Beskar steel, and it's hard to find that steel. But
Yeah.
maybe there's some other reasons why. But I liked the very end. I mean, it was cool. It's kind of the Predator scene. You got everybody sort of mowing down bad guys. But the reason I liked it so much is because I didn't want to see another Baby Yoda getting him out of a sticky situation thing.
Yeah.
You could see that as they're looking at each other. You think, okay, well, maybe he's gonna, I don't know, levitate the cart that they were on, and then they escape. I did not want to see that. So
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I preferred all the other Mandalorians coming in and saving the day. That for me saved us from a worse ending. So, I mean, I liked it, but no, on a whole, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was a great. It's a great episode, and the callbacks are the way I identify it with John Wick 3 was not just the way he killed people, but that scene where all the fobs go off.
Oh yeah, when he's walking through the town and they're all like, that was so John Wick 3 when he's going through totally.
Yeah, like the contracts on John Wick's life. So I don't mind the inspiration.
No, I like it. It's good.
I don't think that it's a copy or a cop out.
No. I don't think so. See, isn't that weird? Like when we see something that's done in a bad way and it's like a ripoff or a copy, but then you see this, which is like, oh, but they took this from inspiration, but it's the way it's fit into the entire writing, the entire story, because it's been so good and pretty original. It stands alone that you don't take this as like, oh, they're copying off this. It's like, oh, they were inspired by this and used it, inside of what they're doing, and it makes sense and it flows.
That's the difference between inspiration and leaning on a trope or leaning on a callback to something else to prop up your shitty script.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if you guys have ever seen J.J. Abrams' TED Talks on Mystery Box, you'll know what we mean. You'll know what we mean. So, ham sandwich for $4.99. I reveal why he ruined Star Wars in my video. Rian Johnson destroyed something beautiful. Have you seen it? Great conversation, guys. I don't know if I have ham sandwich. Why don't you DM that to me on Twitter, and I'll be sure to take a look at it.
I'll check that out too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't tag me, please DM me. My notifications can be a little messy, depending on what meme is currently in style at the time. So yeah, for sure. Just DM me and I'll get to it for sure. Let's see. Will do, homie. All right, nice. Daniel Gonzalez said the ending of Fallen Order is hot garbage. Well, I don't know anything about it. So
don't spoil the ending.
I hope you don't spoil it.
Spoilers.
But
yeah. Do not spoil the ending.
Mark Lareseth, if you get a Baby Yoda for Christmas, will you set it on fire? Yes. I definitely 100% I will.
Oh, outstanding.
Yoda's roasting on an open fire.
Yes. Jar Jar nipping at your nose. Brian McCann, Ryan Baby Yoda tattooed now. That would take one hell of a super chat, I think. I don't know if there's a super chat high enough to give me a Baby Yoda tattoo. My body is pure right now. I've thought for many years about getting a tattoo, and I've never done it. But I still don't think it'll ever happen. I think I'm at the age now where I'm like, I think I'm good.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Hashtag eat Baby Yoda. Yes.
Oh, come on. It's Gizmo, guys. It's Green Gizmo.
It is Green Gizmo.
How can you hate Green Gizmo?
Yes, Shadzar. In other words, people are tagging Ryan with all the Baby Yodas they can find. That is 100% true. Oh, God. Benzo said Baby Yoda tattoo for 100K subscribers.
Ooh.
Not 100K, for 10K. If it was 100K, I'd probably say okay, because I don't think that'll ever happen. 10K. Yeah.
That's too reachable.
Have y'all noticed how every fight scene, the Mando has used almost everything on him? Yes. And I agree. That's one of the great things about this show. 100%. When he fights, he uses everything at his disposal. I really
like
enjoy
how
that.
when he was using the flamethrower, when he was like being surrounded, it like went out and he couldn't keep using. He's not like relying on everything. It's stuff happens, stuff breaks down. It it makes sense.
Well, it runs out of fuel, which is a fucking huge issue I have with Dave Filoni's the way he uses jetpacks in Clone Wars and Rebels, because they never run out of fuel, and they can literally fly as fast as every ship.
Well, even at the end where you have the Mandalorian next to him and he's in the ship, it kind of is like it's like Iron Man or the Rocketeer, or something.
Yes,
like,
and that is not how they're supposed to work. So I hope we don't see too much of that, because like there was scenes in Rebels and Clone Wars where they're literally just going like transiting planets using their jetpacks. Which is not how it wouldn't be able to do that with the fuel sources they had available. But
it's more like a hovering device, or at least it always had been, more so than like a jetpack that actually uses like an aircraft.
Yes, but that is. Yeah, we saw that scene at the end. I hope we don't see too more of that. It was cool. Jon Favreau in there. Jon Favreau making his cameo in there. It was pretty cool. That is one thing I really liked about the end when all the Mandalorians
it is funny though, Favreau being that character and having all the Iron Man comparisons. That is funny.
And one thing I liked was I'm a huge critic of what Dave Filoni did with Mandalorians, but in this one, you have Mandalorians that all look different, right? They all are dressed differently. They're all using different weapons. They all have different clan sigils and tags. It makes sense because that is traditionally that's how Mandalorians were. They weren't these people that all dressed exactly the same, like you see in Clone Wars and Rebels. So I really enjoy this about this series, and I'm hoping that it's a chance for Mandalorians to be redeemed in my eyes. And what Filoni can do with them. It's good so far.
I'm curious where they're going to relocate the covert.
Yeah, and are there? Do you think there's others, Fox, around the galaxy?
Well, I'm curious. It can't. I guess it can, but surely that's not all the remaining Mandalorians. You would think that there were coverts, located around the galaxy. But I mean, it's possible this is all. Maybe this is all that we have. And if that's the case, where do they relocate? I'm curious.
Yeah, so Geeky Candy, after the Purge, they don't have the ability to all have the same armor. Well, before Clone Wars era,
there's different...
Mandalorians, what they would do is they would build their armor sets based off different things that had happened to them. So sometimes it was color schemes. Sometimes they would take one off, like a fallen friend. They might take a piece from their father's armor, and ended up having kind of unique sets and unique color schemes. Even depending on whatever clan you were, you had the clan sigil, but everything else was different for a lot of the times. So that's more what I mean, and that's what I really liked seeing from all these different Mandalorians.
And I also I think there's something different between like the Purge that we see in Clone Wars and like the Battle for Mandalore, all that stuff that's going to be, I guess, showcased in season 8. I think there's a difference in what happened there and what happened between Rebels and now. Because they kind of mentioned the Empire, what the Empire has done to them, why they're in hiding and why they've had to go underground. So I think that there's something that happened to, in between what we see of them in Rebels and what we see of them in The Mandalorian. But I don't know what that is. I don't think they've really explained it. But I think it's more than just like what happened on Mandalore. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. You guys know what I'm talking about there?
So can you just succinctly? I was reading the chat. Sorry, can you succinctly say that again?
Yeah. So I think there's a difference between what happens with the Battle of Mandalore and the siege on Mandalore in Clone Wars, and what they're talking about in The Mandalorian as the Empire causing them to go underground. Why they hate the Empire so much. I think
so the Empire
between Rebels and The Mandalorian. During the original trilogy era, that we don't really know the story of yet.
That's where they got all of their steel from, right? When they talk about stealing all the Beskar, and why it all has Imperial sigils on it, that's the Purge that they're talking about, from my understanding.
And we haven't really seen that. We don't really know how that went down.
Right. Let's see. I dislike that Mandalorian is an ethnicity instead of a culture. Well, I don't know if they've explored too much of that, but yeah, before it was a culture, there were multiple different species. It was a way of life. And although heritage was part of that, if you were born a Mandalorian, you certainly could, a lot of them stayed Mandalorian. It wasn't some kind of just a birthright thing. So Yeah.
Well, also the Mandalorian himself, I think he was a foundling. I don't think he was born on Mandalore. You see that scene, the flashback scenes. I don't think they're on Mandalore there. Whoever saves him from the super battle droid, I think they bring him in and kind of indoctrinate him into the culture of Mandalore or Mandalorian culture. But I don't think he's from Mandalore originally. Neither was Boba Fett for that matter. Boba Fett never grew up there.
Is the race that becomes the Mandalorian? Weren't they originally on Coruscant, and then they lost that battle and they went?
Yeah, they originally were on Coruscant.
Yeah. But all that's, I think all that what you guys are talking about is ancient history. You know what I mean? So
it doesn't matter.
It's not a source, right?
That's part of those sources that don't exist, according to Kathleen Kennedy.
Exactly. I saw some fuck on Twitter said, Ryan, I don't like your clickbait. Kathleen Kennedy didn't lie. They've used the source material. She literally said we don't have source material to make these things.
She literally said
that. Whether it's lies or ignorance, I guess that's up to you. If you want to say she's just that stupid, then I guess you can. But I would give her the benefit of the doubt. I would like to think she's a smart lady and that she's not that stupid. So that's why I said she lied. So to that one person complaining about clickbait, go fuck yourself.
I like how these people, it's these people who try to argue these points that we make. It's like we're using Rolling Stone. We're using her interview, her own words. We're not making it's not clickbait. It's what she said.
Use her own words against her.
Yeah, it's what she said. It's not a made up title.
Yes, exactly. People are really talking about Kathleen Kennedy as a dancer. Listen, I don't want to see it. I've heard this rumor before. I don't want to look it up and see if it's true. Okay, I don't want to see if it's true. Because I don't want to get the idea of Kathleen Kennedy dancing in my head. Chapter 7 is the next one Deborah Chow's directing. I think we'll get a full idea of flashbacks, heading up something big for final following week. What I think, this is what I'm worried about, Candace. Let me know if you've heard anything. No spoilers, please. But I think that since it's the way it's planned, episode 7 comes out on a Wednesday before Rise of Skywalker opens.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Rise of Skywalker opening weekend, and then it comes back the following week for the finale. Is there going to be some kind of cliffhanger directly involved with Rise of Skywalker to try to get people to go see this movie? That's what I want to know.
That too. I think that's why they did 2 episodes the first week. They dropped those 2 in the first week, and I looked at the schedule. I'm like, when does the last episode drop? I'm like, oh, it's right there with Rise of Skywalker. And I wonder if they're going to try to link these 2 together.
Exactly. That's kind of what I think it's going to be. And it would be sad because I don't want it connected to that.
I don't either. But there's supposed to be a giant something happens midway through the season. I don't know if it's what maybe Candace is talking about, episode 7, or I think it was supposed to be like halfway. I thought it was like 4 or 5. That's supposed to change everything in Star Wars. It's supposed to be a big moment that changes and affects a lot of things in Star Wars in general. What I'm talking about, Candace? Don't say it, but just say yes or no. You confirm or deny that without confirming or denying that.
Well, remember, we had all these articles saying from them that they said there's going to be a major spoiler for the Star Wars universe in this movie. Now, to me, I think we've already got that. The Baby Yoda stuff.
Supposed to be the Yoda thing. That's not supposed to be it. It's supposed to be something else.
I don't know how that could not be it.
That's what I thought too. But my old roommate actually worked on the show. He hasn't told me anything though, but he worked on The Mandalorian. And he had said halfway through the season, is the big surprise that they've been talking about. It wasn't the Yoda thing. So I don't know. Oh, she said maybe I'm talking about chapter 5. Okay, maybe that's it then.
Sweet. Oh yeah, well, they said we're getting major Yoda stuff in chapter 5. So that's what I think it is. I think it's going to completely be Yoda's, like everything about Yoda. That's what I think it's going to be. But because that's a major spoiler for the Star Wars universe. Yeah. Major spoiler: Mandalorian set in the Legends timeline. Yes, Kevin. That would be a major spoiler.
You think they'll see him take off the mask? That's another hot button issue this week. Is he going to take the mask off or not?
I hope not.
I mean, they made a big thing about the whole, honor system of not taking it off, and that's the culture. But my point is, why do you hire Adam Pascal or not Adam Pascal?
Pedro
Pascal. Adam Pascal is a different actor. Yeah, why would you hire Pedro Pascal and not just for his voice. I mean, they could have gotten a stunt actor to do all the motions. They could have gotten any good voice actor, but they got him specifically. Why would you pay him if you're not going to use his likeness? You know, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. If their plan was never to take the helmet off, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that listen, we already know it's been greenlit for a second season. So I think they're probably going to keep it at least until that second season. Maybe some kind of moment where they kind of like make you think he's about to take it off or something.
Well,
yeah, or someone's about to take it off,
right.
And then he gets saved by something else.
That Candace just mentioned. But I mean, all you see is the hands go for it. You don't actually see it coming off. So
yeah, that's what I think you're going to see. Like it's a moment where it looks like it's either going to be removed or you might think about it, and then there's going to be an explosion in the background or something.
Yeah,
or he's unconscious, and they try to take it off, and then he wakes up and he grabs.
Well, did you notice the Favreau? You know, that Mandalorian. He when they have their little fight scene in the covert.
Yeah, he
grabs his helmet. You know, and that's when that's when the whole fight started. He tried to take it off of him.
Yeah.
Which would be like a big disrespectful move.
I think in the timeline, I think it works out because, okay, so we just had episode 3. We're going to have episode 4. This is going to be, he's trying to figure out where to go with Baby Yoda. He's going to meet up with whoever, maybe make his way towards the New Republic. So I think that's going to make up the majority of episode 4. Episode 5, maybe they're at their destination, wherever that is, whether it's Camino, who knows. And then we find out more about Baby Yoda. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The whole right? Because again, we've seen Mandalorians in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and they often have their helmets off. So it's going to be interesting where they, where they came up with this rule for not taking it off. If it's because they're just within their own community, right? They're just within themselves in private, and they're still talking about not taking it off. So it'll be interesting how they kind of coalesce those two ideas. If they explain it, well, it's something that happened during this, during this time.
Also,
maybe.
this whole "this is the way." I mean, that's something new too, because that wasn't something that appeared in Clone Wars. That wasn't like a phrase that they all said.
Right.
So that's something new too. So I'm guessing that's maybe it's even just within their covert. If there are other coverts, if they're not the only ones left, then maybe that's something that they just had started themselves. I don't know. You know, that's a good question.
I have spoken. This is the way. I mean, we've already got sort of quotable things from a TV series that has 3 episodes. This is already more than we've gotten out of the 2 films from Disney Star Wars. It's kind of sad when you think about it.
I'm more connected to the Mandalorian's character who, you know, we can't even connect to him on like that human emotional eye to eye kind of level. You know, we can't see his eyes. I mean, there's so much to say for an actor who, you know, you just relate more when you see someone's eyes. We have none of that. You know, he's been in a mask the whole time, and I feel more emotionally connected to him than the entire cast of the sequel trilogy. You know, that says something about the writing.
I think
Matthew got it. There's no point in building up the New Republic when it was all blown up by a Star Killer in Force Awakens. It served no story purpose. That is true. That is true. Well,
we really should have gotten more New Republic stuff in the sequel trilogy to make us care.
Well, listen, we're so far gone, unfortunately, with that sequel trilogy, where I think that everyone would have loved to freaking see Luke Skywalker rebuilding the Jedi, doing Jedi Academy the right way. And unfortunately, it just can't happen anymore because of what they've done. Luckily, if you wanted to know a great way a great story about Luke Skywalker actually rebuilding the Jedi, there is the expanded universe. So that's what I would recommend if you're hungry for that kind of story, because that's what I read, and that's why I feel maybe a little spoiled in what I'm getting now. It's Francisco fucking Chico. Slap you with my small cock, I will. I believe he's talking about Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
I can't confirm, but I assume so.
Okay.
Afra will be in it. I never even thought of that.
Afra.
So Dr. Afra, if you guys have been following that comic series at all.
That's interesting.
I never even thought about that.
I didn't either.
For life.
I didn't either. That's a good, that's interesting. There could be a lot of cameos in this show. I mean, the time period, it lines up with where we left off in Rebels with Sabine and Ahsoka, Thrawn, Ezra. I mean, there's a lot that if it starts getting in with if it wants to deal with the First Order and the beginnings of it, and it wants to get into the unknown regions at all, at the end of Rebels, that's where we see Ahsoka and Sabine are heading off to the unknown regions to find where Thrawn and Ezra, got disappeared to. So, I mean, if they wanted to get into it, they could kind of tie together Rebels with the story of the Mandalorian and the First Order. I mean, it is Filoni. Filoni does like to do that stuff. He likes to, start things in one show and then you get the payoff in another show.
I can't, with his involvement, I can't imagine we're going to just go this entire season. Maybe this first season, maybe not. Yeah. Season 2, I think he can take more risks. I think he may try to make those connections.
He brought back Ahsoka in Rebels in season 2 as well. Well, I think it was like the season 1 finale, but her main character arc was in season 2. So, yeah.
With the Death Watch confirmation, do you think Bo-Katan might be the armorer?
Yeah, that's possible. Where is she? That's a good question. What happened to her? Yeah, it could be Bo-Katan.
I just feel like because we know who's playing her. I feel like it'd be so sad if it's not Katie Sackhoff, right? Like to have that kind of level of voice actor for Bo-Katan in Clone Wars and in Rebels, and for it not to be her, because I feel like she would have wanted to do this.
That's like Ashley Eckstein with Ahsoka, kind of same thing. Like if you do
she's gotten too fat to play Ahsoka. Let's just
she'd have
honest.
to. Yeah, well, she could get in shape though. I mean, look, they got Mark Hamill got in shape.
Well, listen, with Katie Sackhoff, she's the right age though, isn't she? I mean, I think Katie Sackhoff is 40-ish.
Ashley Eckstein would be probably about that age too, because Ahsoka during the where she heads off in Rebels, she's a little older. She's probably in her early 40s, late 30s, early 40s. I think that's around Ashley Eckstein's age. If she got in shape, I think she could pull that.
Because I agree. I think Katie Sackhoff should definitely. I think she's up on her acting chops. What's the last thing
she's doing? She's in the Flash and stuff right now. She's doing stuff in the Arrowverse.
Right. So I think that it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, she's the sister of Satine. Yeah.
Now, Ashley, she may have to hit the treadmill. I mean, I'm just saying. Not fat shaming. Not fat shaming. I'm just saying.
The Mythosaur signet. So I didn't notice on the armor if she actually had the Mythosaur or not. The Mythosaur traditionally is just a representation of the Mandalorian people. Now I do know that Satine had that. Whether that was because of her family's crest or whether it was just a symbol of her as a Mandalorian, I'm not sure. I might have to rewatch a couple episodes of Clone Wars. God help me to figure that out. But I don't know.
Was that specific?
I never saw if the armor had that on her or not. Maybe.
It's just I know you see it on like their door, but I don't know if you had it on her.
That's typically the symbol for the Mandalorian people.
Yeah, the people
in general.
Yeah.
So what do you think Mando's signet's going to be? A Baby Yoda head?
You got to kill something, right?
Hey, maybe.
Well, if Ryan has his way, that'll be
Mando will take out. He'll take out Baby Yoda, and Ryan will be a fan again.
Listen. The perfect thing would be if if he's just coming back, the Mandalorian is taking a shit. Right, and then he take a shit down his little dump port that blue alien was all about earlier.
Yeah,
and
vacuum port. Yep.
He comes back. He's like, oh, where'd Baby Yoda go? Whatever. He's probably off playing with something, and he sits down in the co-pilot seat. You just hear like, right? You just hear some noise like that, and he's like,
Push.
Oh shit! And then
he takes the little ball from his control thing and screws it back on, and just like nothing,
he just takes off.
Finally got that.
We'll clean this up later.
That would be perfect. And somebody did say the armor looks like someone who looks a lot like Bo-Katan. Yeah, in theory, I suppose. Yeah, she does. She definitely could do it. Drunk 3PO, $4.99. Here's some money to get a Drunk 3PO shirt. Once again, the only time this man is happy is when he is truly shilling his merchandise.
Settling his merchandise.
And that's not near enough money to get me a Drunk 3PO shirt. Just saying.
Yeah, how much you charging? A lot more than that for those, aren't you? What about the leggings? Should have said the leggings.
I think the leggings up to 100.
That's true. Well, if you want to get a tank top, if you want to get an RK Outpost tank top, then go right here. Boom. Dude, this is my friend. She runs this website. She does an awesome job. There's some tank tops and some shirts available there, where there will be sweatshirts and things like that. Little stickers and koozies that'll get thrown in as bonuses too. So go check it out. Drunk 3PO. I'm sure I'll get a shirt. I have a shirt for Fox, but it's in the laundry right now.
It's okay. It's okay.
But I do like it. It's very soft.
Did you cut the sleeves off? I'm just curious.
No, I didn't. I was not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm thinking about doing that. I have this Star Wars shirt here. Hold on. I have this Star Wars shirt here that I wore when I was gaming the other night.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about cutting the sleeves off this thing, to be honest. I think it'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, you got to do it. I think so.
Yeah. Stand up, Ryan, and model. I mean, you can see it, right? I mean, this is the tank. This is the tank that you'll get. Shipping to the United States is included in the price. If you're looking to get it shipped outside, contact me or contact the seller. But yeah, that price is with shipping. So
awesome.
What were we going to talk about? So what do we have left? We've been going 2 hours, guys. What do we have left to talk about here? We've talked about J.J. Abrams and how he little man just wanted to make sure I was wearing pants. I see. Yes.
It's a valid
Deezus says Geeky Candy. Is it because I sit up and modeled? Is that what it is? But anyway, we talked about J.J. Abrams and how he revealed that they were still shooting the Skywalker or the Rise of Skywalker, just like everyone had said that it was still in reshoots that everyone denied. He revealed that in his interview. He also talked about Ryan never said thank you for the super chat. I feel like I acknowledged it, Drunk. Thank you very much.
Wow.
To be fair, it's just money for me to buy your shit. So, I mean, thank you for giving me money to help buy your shit. I appreciate it.
Justice having to spend that on his merchandise.
Yeah, a super chat with strings attached is really not a super chat.
That's a good point. Just a regular chat.
Exactly. He's just giving himself money, subtracting 30%.
It's really a super chat for himself, I guess.
Yes. Ryan's thank you came in the form of standing up in the sand and modeling his tank top. That is true.
What
that
did
is
you
true.
ask for?
I don't really know. Shirtless, I suppose. But yes, thank you very much for that super chat, Drunk 3PO. But anyway, we have talked about J.J. Abrams and how he laughed when he read what Rian Johnson wrote for episode 8. He literally laughed at what was the continuation of his story, which I think is really funny. The fact that he's saying
about Lucas's criticism too. Lucas had criticized the I think it was The Force Awakens in particular about not like being original enough. He was always trying to expand worlds, come up with new vehicles, and he said the lack of a imagination in the new trilogy, which we've all talked about that exists. But then JJ tried to counter that by saying, he's kind of playing victim. We were just trying to do our best to get back to old Star Wars, and to a degree I get it because I liked Force Awakens when I first saw it too. But it's a lot of copying. It's not just, the TIE fighters are just TIE fighters with a paint job on the wings. It's the X-wings again. They do go back to Ralph McQuarrie's original artwork, but they still look pretty much the same. They haven't changed anything. The Falcon got a new antenna, and that was it.
That's true. $1.99 super chat from Drunk 3PO. Great panel, great talk. You may keep this. I have spoken. Thank you, Drunk 3PO. I appreciate that. So I'll pull that up. We'll talk about that real quick. Just like you said, boom. He also reveals George Lucas's dissatisfaction with The Force Awakens. I'm so far away from this. Hold on. Can I zoom in closer? Will you let me zoom in? Enhance. I only had gratitude for George. It's probably a complicated thing for him. To decide you're going to sell it, that was your baby, to anyone, that must be more complicated than signing a check and smiling. Well, he didn't even smile, so that's true. But he's been incredibly gracious and generous. He came over. We had a meeting when we first started, talked to a ton of new ideas and stories, heard from him what was important. We've done nothing but try to adhere to some fundamental aspects of the story. Wasn't a difficult thing to try to do. And again, he was really gracious. Do I wish Force Awakens had been his favorite movie of all time? Yes. I only want to do well by him. I would just say that I have nothing but profound respect for the guy, and am still truly, even more so, working on these movies what he created. And I feel like he did the best he could to answer that. To have Bob Iger come out and drop a bomb, right? To drop a bomb that said George Lucas thought Force Awakens sucked is tough to have to respond to.
Yeah.
So I do think he did a pretty good job of kind of walking a line there.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I agree. He definitely walked on the right side of the road there. He didn't try to attack George back like Ryan Johnson, attack the fans back. He played the politician role.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a lot of what KK was trying to do in hers, to be honest.
She said the wrong things. She made herself look worse.
Fuck Copa and fuck people's kids. Well, I should rephrase that. So, yeah, like, you don't care about people's kids. Yes, I agree. I don't want that clip out there.
Yeah, amend that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. The parents don't give a shit about their kids, not about caring. Yeah, I agree. Copa's stupid. We all know Copa's stupid. We can only hope that it's not as bad as it's going to be. People are doing things. I do plan to make a video about it. Probably I'll put it out tomorrow, just about Copa, and try to get the message out there. I assume that everybody who watches my channel already watches like Geeks and Gamers or like somebody else that has already done a video on it. But I will go ahead and make a video on it anyway, just because it is important. Yeah, but that's the response like we talked about from JJ. So we've talked about JJ, we've talked about Kathleen, just briefly touched on that freaking article, the lack of source material to on one hand throw away everything, and another hand take it out of the garbage and pull from it without saying you're doing it, and then to complain and say, well, we don't have source material to make these movies. It's just so underhanded and so cheesy. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
And then to not count Lucas's own treatment, which they had to use for the 3 sequel movies. It's
exactly, and it's just so disrespectful in every way. And it's not a surprise anymore, but it is fun to talk about. It's definitely fun to talk about. And then we talked about Mandalorian, we talked about Baby Yoda, and how we are all being fooled by this baby, by this cute baby. No. And I will have none of it. I will not stand for it. And I know Fox won't stand for it.
No. As long as I'm on this channel, I will not stand for it.
As long as you're on this channel, I got it. Fox, so you got in here second to or last, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little about your channel, a little about what is going on with you?
Thanks, Ryan, very much for having me on the stream. I do appreciate it. I am 19K Fox on YouTube, 19K Fox 1 on Twitter. I do some movie reviews. I do some TV reviews. I have a pretty successful series. I review the Batwoman. I know. It's sad to say, but I review the Batwoman TV series. I go in depth, point by point, step by step. We review all the ridiculousness that happens within each episode. It's very lighthearted. I have a lot of fun with that, but come check me out. Check out some of my videos. Give me a like. Maybe think about it. Give me a subscribe. I appreciate it once again, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. And please go check out 19K Fox. Please subscribe to him. He puts out great content. Thanks for being here, man. And Final Death Star, what is going on with you? Tell everybody about what they can find when they come to your channel and what you're up to.
More of what we talk about here, all the news and the rumors and leaks. Rumors, for people who don't know the difference between news and rumors, talk about a lot of that, Star Wars and just nerd culture in general, but mostly Star Wars. And obviously I'm doing my Mandalorian breakdown. I mean, that's Boba Fett, but Mandalorian breakdowns every week on what I think of the show. I'm trying to get those out right as the episode ends, because being in California, we've got the advantage of having things come out at midnight instead of 3 a.m. So I can watch it and get that first review out there. So I tried to do that. Also, I do the Fourth Wave show. It's on author Stephen Walton's channel. He is the author of The Fandom Menace, Volume 1, along with Mike Rogers. So they're on the panel with us. And then we've got Sporking News Podcast and Bear Nerd Fun Immortal Coils on there. We just picked up Ord's Board, which he came out on Drunk 3PO's Sunday panel last week, or Sunday video thing that he's doing last week. So he's on there now. Nick Nugent, who did the cover work for the book. So yeah, we do that on Wednesdays. And I want to say it kind of changes around 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. And then we do a show on Saturday, again, 3 o'clock to 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. So we do 2 shows now a week. And we go through all the news and everything that's, been popping up, articles and just the talk of the town, the talk of the fandom.
Yes, Brian McCann keeps lying, saying $1,000 super chat. Ryan will tattoo Baby Yoda to his chest. Listen, that is maybe a little excessive. Not the money, but tattooing it to my chest. I need to think about this. I need to think about
$1,000, Ryan.
this.
$1,000. Think about it.
That's worth $1,000.
I need to think about it. Thank both of you for being here. It's a little short notice. I tend to procrastinate a little bit as I have a lot of things going on, but I appreciate you guys both being here with me today. It's been awesome. It's been a great conversation. We've had a lot of people in chat, guys, this whole time, pretty steadily. For all of you out there who are watching, if you enjoy my content, I ask please smash that like button as we finish up the stream here. Please subscribe if you're not already. Ring the bell for notifications. And for all these guys, I dropped their links in chat as they were talking. Please subscribe to them as well. Do the same thing. I will link my Patreon down in the bottom. You only get $700. That's true. $1,000 super chat would only be $700, and I'd be getting a Baby Yoda on me. I don't know if that's worth it. But if you're a fan of what I do, please check out my Patreon. Do some cool little other videos, and you get access to all my gaming streams that I do after I unlist them. So that's pretty cool. We're building a cool thing here. We're all building. We're all rising, and it's a pleasure to be involved with you guys here, and honor to have you on my channel.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the first time talking kind of about everything, but the second time in general. I appreciate that, you asking me. And 19K, it's always fun to stream with you.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. And
I love being had.
Yes. And again, thank you to my wonderful patrons, Teresa Martin, Mary Mayhem, What an Ass, What a Bitch, What a Cuck, George Big Dick Lucas, Hugh Jass, Seth Saunders, and Kyle Hopkins. You guys are great. You have the best names. You have the best names that I get to say on my stream every day. So that's always fun. But thank you all for being here. Any links you need are in the description, whether it's these guys' channels, my P.O. Box, my Patreon, all of that good stuff. But thanks for being here. And we will talk to you